In the heart of a bustling city, a mysterious blind man named Victor Crowe lives a quiet and seemingly harmless life. Everyone believes he is visually impaired, relying on his cane and heightened senses to navigate the world. But behind his dark glasses hides a terrifying secret: he can see everything. Using his feigned blindness as the perfect disguise, he lures unsuspecting young women into his twisted game of death. Victor is a master manipulator, preying on the sympathy of kind-hearted women who believe he is helpless. Over the years, he has taken the lives of more than 20 victims, leaving no trace behind. But as his confidence grows, so does the curiosity of a sharp-witted detective, Daniel Reeves, who begins to piece together the horrifying puzzle. Chapter 1. The Mask of Innocence. Victor, a well-known figure in his neighborhood, plays the role of a kind yet unfortunate blind man. He tells moving stories of how he lost his sight in a tragic accident, gaining sympathy from those around him. Women, especially, feel drawn to him, offering help with simple tasks like crossing the street or reading documents aloud. He uses their kindness to study their routines, weaknesses, and fears. At night, he removes his glasses and follows them unnoticed, choosing his victims carefully. He strikes when they least expect it, using his blindness as the ultimate alibi. Chapter 2. The first murder. His first victim, Lisa Monroe, a university student, felt pity for him when she saw him struggling near a bookstore. She offered to help, reading books for him every weekend. Little did she know, Victor had already planned her death. One night, he invited her to his apartment under the pretense of thanking her with a cup of tea. Inside, his carefully prepared, blind man's home had no evidence of sight: braille books, a walking cane, and dim lighting to sell his act. As she turned her back, he struck a precise injection of a sedative, rendering her unconscious. He whispered, "I see you," as she drifted into darkness. She was never seen again. Chapter 3. A pattern of death. Victor perfected his method. Each victim followed a similar pattern. 1. Befriend them through sympathy. 2. Lure them into his home. 3. Sedate them. 4. Dispose of their bodies in the river. To avoid suspicion, he spaced out his kills over 2 years. No one suspected a blind man. How could he possibly stalk or murder anyone? Chapter 4. The detective's suspicion. Detective Daniel Reeves, a seasoned investigator, noticed something strange. Several missing women had been last seen with Victor. The detective visited him, pretending to be interested in helping the disabled community. During their conversation, Reeves dropped a small object on the table: a coin. Victor's eyes reflexively glanced at it for a split second. That was enough. Reeves left without revealing his suspicion, but now he knew Victor was not blind. Chapter 5. The trap. Reeves devised a plan. He assigned an undercover officer, Emily Carter, to pose as a kind-hearted woman who would befriend Victor. Over weeks, she gained his trust. Finally, Victor invited her to his home, unaware that the apartment was bugged. The moment he tried to inject her, police stormed in. But Victor had one last trick. He lunged at Emily with a hidden knife, slashing her arm. A struggle ensued, but Reeves tackled him to the ground, handcuffing him as he whispered, "You're not so blind now, are you?" Chapter 6. The end of the butcher. In court, Victor remained eerily silent. He refused to admit his crimes, but the overwhelming evidence, fingerprints, surveillance footage, and hidden bloodstains sealed his fate. Sentenced to life in prison without parole, Victor sat in his cell, staring at the wall. His final words to Reeves were chilling: "Even a blind man can see the darkness in people's hearts, and I made them disappear into it." Conclusion. The legend of the blind butcher haunted the city for years. His apartment became a crime scene, and his name was whispered in fear. But justice had prevailed thanks to one detective who refused to be fooled by the perfect disguise.